Hey guys, I'm Kelly, and I'm really glad you found yourself here today. I'm having conversations about friendship with some of my friends. And so I have a couple people with me, Stephanie and Elizabeth, and I know you guys. We've been in the same church for a lot of years and would love for you to share a little bit about yourselves because these people watching don't know you guys. So share a little bit about who you are and what you're doing in life right now, where God has you.
Yeah, okay. I'm Elizabeth, and I am a junior high choir director. I've been a music teacher for 4-ish years, and currently at this school for 2 years. It's a junior high kids are very interesting.
And understatement.
Yes. Some people say it's a calling. I wouldn't necessarily say that for me, but I'm there and God has me there. So, I'm one of many siblings, and my parents are first generation American. I love music and I love my church. Yeah.
I'm Stephanie, and I am a second grade teacher. This is my 10th year of teaching. So it is almost summer.
We're close.
And we are close.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're counting down the days.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I have been at Stonegate almost 10 years as well. And so I've just really enjoyed getting to know them. And I love my nephew, and I have a soon to be nephew or niece coming, which I'm excited about. So Aunt Life is my fun place.
It's great being an aunt.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not actually an aunt yet.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like waiting for the day.
It's so fun. And then you can be like, okay, bye.
Yes,
and then
send them home.
Send them home.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you guys are here. And it has been a joy to be at Stonegate Church, which is where we go to church for so many years together and get to see you guys faithfully follow Christ and encourage my heart in that. And we're here today talking about friendship, but specifically as it relates to singleness. And so both you guys are in a season of singleness. And by any means, I do not think that defines you. But I do think that it provides really unique opportunities and also unique challenges, especially as it relates to friendship. And so I really wanted to get you guys' insight. Being single in Christian circles, I think especially, can pose really unique challenges. So I wanted to ask you guys, maybe what is a cringe moment that you've maybe had as a single person in our church or just as a Christian in those circles? Maybe something someone has said to you, maybe unintentionally, that's been like, oh man, ouch.
Yeah.
Or you don't know how unhelpful that was. I'm sure you guys have tons of those stories, but
Yes.
what's maybe one you could share with us?
Yeah. Well, so I think of one, this happens more than once or has happened more than once. So it feels like a general statement, but I have had someone this past year backstage say to me, wow, you're so amazing and you're so wise and whatever, they'll build me up and say, because of that, they won't literally say because, but the statement says something like, you're so wonderful. You're so amazing. You're a woman of God. Just hang in there and you'll find your Boaz, as if my greatness means that I should be able to find somebody else who's great. Just hang in there. He's out there somewhere.
Boaz.
Yes.
Out there somewhere.
He's out there somewhere. And that's what my greatness is for. It's for matching and pairing with someone.
What is a prolonged season of singleness when maybe other friends are going through transitions that the Lord hasn't ordained for you yet? What challenges do you face in your friendships, specifically relating to where God has you, which is a good place.
Right.
But I know there are challenges with that.
I'll speak for it because I, kind of have joked before that all of my friends are married. Elizabeth and I have become really close friends because we're in the same home group now. So I have
2 of the 3 single girls.
I have a single sister, but I think that is something that was really hard for me at the beginning of feeling like I was less than, or this loneliness that would come because I didn't have what I should have at 25 or 26 or 27. And so kind of looking at that and saying well, how am I supposed to have these? Now I have to find new friends, or now I have to do this, this, and this, instead of realizing the Lord didn't give me friendships for just and there could be new friendships that come in different seasons, which are a blessing, but it doesn't have to start over every time. Okay, this one is out and now I need a new one to come tag in. That I can still develop relationships with other women or with those same women
Right.
in their different stages of life. It's going to look different. You know, it may not be like, hey, let's go grab something to eat, because they may say, well, I have to make dinner for my family and put my kids to bed. And so they can't just up and leave, where I have that freedom to do it. But having to be intentional with it and still looking at it as, like, especially now going back to other friendships and being like, okay, I need to dig into this instead of being like, this one's kind of faded out and now I need to find somebody else.
It became hard logistically. So it's like, well, I don't know if they want. Yeah.
It's just different, but it's not a bad thing. It's just, I feel like it took me years to kind of figure out how to work into that friendship and figure out how it because it's just in a different stage of life now that we're older and other people are added. And
And you brought up something I think is really important, that there's grief in that.
Yes.
And I think that's normal and good. And I think that it's a good reminder for anyone in seasons of change in friendship, but especially if singles are watching this and they're watching their friend get married and there's some grief that it's going to change. You don't lose the friend, but you lose a version of that friendship.
Right.
And to grieve that, I think is okay. Wouldn't you guys say?
Yes.
And I feel like there's an appropriate way to do it. I feel like in some of my friendships, I didn't do it in an appropriate way.
What did that look like?
Just, I feel like I kind of, maybe you kind of talked about like having to take a step back and seeing that they have this new person in their life. And so instead of me being like, I'm going to be intentional and I'm going to still pursue this friendship, but it's going to look a little different, I just kind of stepped back and was like, I'm going to let them have their new marriage. And because of that, it looked like I didn't care. There was a lot of miscommunication. I don't do confrontation well. And so there was frustration there, and our friendship looked different and kind of fell apart. And so having to, even years later, go back and her say, hey, I feel like you felt like this and that this is how it made me feel. And I was like, well, I felt like, I felt like we were kind of in high school again, but there was just all these expectations we had that weren't being met because we didn't know how to do this new friendship as her being married. And I didn't know how to express my needs in a way that I didn't feel like I was taking away, if that makes sense. And so, just having to pursue that friendship and realize it's going to look different and that it's okay for it to be sad. Like it's okay to weep over that, but then realizing like there's still goodness in this. There's still, and that you still have purpose, because I feel like I also kind of believed lies of, well, I can't speak into her life anymore because I'm not married and I don't have kids. And so she won't listen to me because I haven't been in these circumstances. And it's like, no, you're still a woman who's pursuing the Lord, biblical truth. And so you're allowed to speak into her life, even if you aren't married. And once I realized that I feel like helped me realize I can still be a good friend. I can still speak truth into these women, even if I'm not in the same stage of life as them, which restored a lot of friendships, I think.
I think that's a really common misconception that you guys brought up, that as a single person, you don't actually have anything to speak into someone who is married or a parent, because you're not. What's so funny about that is our primary texts in the scriptures on marriage and family come from a single man, from Paul. So I hope a single listening to this would feel encouraged. You have something to contribute, and sometimes you have an even more helpful, objective view in that person's life, and to lean into that. And maybe that might mean in someone's friendship they have to redefine in a season as those seasons of life are changing, and that's a good thing, like you said, Stephanie. But that singleness is a really great gift. Paul talks about that. It is, in some ways, he would look at married people and be like, I mean, be married, that's great. But like, I wish you were all as I was. I wish you had the freedom and liberty I have. So do you guys feel that, the joys in your singleness, in the friendships that you have, in the relationships you have? What are the benefits that you see of God keeping you in this beautiful season of singleness?
I think as of late, I can say like I see joys. I used to roll my eyes when people would say singleness is a gift, you should. And I was like,
stop it. And I think lately I've just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, shut up. You don't know I want to be married. But I think, I have gotten to a place of thinking, realizing, not thinking, no, this really is a gift.
Mhm.
And there, I don't want to say there's more freedom,
Well,
but
I think there
in a
is
sense,
objectively.
I mean,
Yeah.
objectively, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to just say we're so free, but there's definitely more freedom in
Yeah.
singleness, and in a way that's not annoying to me anymore. In a way that I'm not just like, I want to be married, but I'm like,
Mhm.
no, there are some really great joys.
Yeah.
Like being able to serve people in our church freely and not say, but I literally can't because my child is sick, or being able to go support friends in events that they have around town, or being able to, I don't know if you had anything to add to that, but I think just for me, I've seen, as of late, I've understood more of how those can be joys instead of just being frustrated that I'm not married. Yeah.
And I think too, it's also allowed me, we mentioned our home group, which is like our life group, the community group, they all call them different things, but that I've been able to not only be friends with the women, but with the men as well. And just the sweet friendships that have come out of there. Because I am single, when I was moving out of my 3rd-story apartment, like all the guys came with their trucks and moved me out in like 30 minutes, which was such a blessing. I mean, I fed them pizza and they were happy. And I was just thankful for that. Or like dating a guy and them sitting me down and saying, this isn't something that we see as a good thing. Like he isn't, and not just like, I feel like even as women sometimes can be like, oh no, or get really, really excited almost to the other end. I feel like if I, as a single, go on a date, the girls are like, oh my gosh, so we're so excited. And the guys were like, wait, which I was thankful for, that they were pouring into my life and loving me well to say like, I know that this is exciting because there's not a lot of single men in this town that you live in. However, these are the red flags we saw, and this is what is not matching up with the Bible. And I'm thankful for that. Even if it wasn't something I wanted to hear right then, I'm thankful that they loved me enough and cared about me enough. And our friendship was built on something other than just like a past bond we had, but they knew me because we dug in the Bible together, that we shared life together. Our families did, or their families and I did. And that they cared enough about me that way. So that's something I've been thankful for, is that I have acquired these friendships that I may not have been able to if I was married, because I'm able to live life more freely. Like you said, go over and spend time with their kids and work out with them after school, or do these things I wouldn't
Or
be
go
able
to
to.
bed after work if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tiring.
Yeah.
But yeah, just those are some things I agree with you too. And then also seeing friendships in this season that I may not have been able to have if I had another, like if I had a family I had to go home and take care of and pick up from daycare and make dinner and, get in that, which is fine. And that's a beautiful season.
Yeah.
But this allows for that freedom to live life with people other than just myself.
Yeah. I know that there's people who are watching this that are probably discouraged in a season of singleness, and maybe they really long for meaningful friendships, and maybe meaningful friendships outside of other singles.
Yeah.
And so if you could say just like one word of encouragement to someone who's there from your own experience, like this would be what I would give you as a word to fight for that. What would that be?
Fight.
Mhm.
Fight. Don't like run at the first sight of a challenge. Like specifically speaking to maintaining and enduring and growing the friendships with people who are not single or married. It's important to keep fighting. Don't let the fact that your friend who's a mom didn't text you, hasn't texted you back for a week, discourage you, because she probably saw it and wants to text you back and forgot because she had to change a diaper and make dinner and call the babysitter and so my encouragement, I could tell so many stories with that, but my encouragement is keep fighting. Don't let what you feel awkward take over. Keep fighting. Yeah.
That's good.
And I think being intentional, that kind of like what I talked about, I've had a lot of opportunities to live life, and it looks different than it did when I was right out of college. It looks different even when I was 25 and we were hanging out every Friday night.
Right.
And it just looks different. Like one of my closest friends, we're close friends because I go and hang out with her after work. And while she's getting changed, like I'm hanging out with her kids. And then when her husband comes home, like sometimes we cook together and it looks different.
Right.
Like that's not, and to a lot of people, that's like, that's not going to help you find a husband. That's not going to, like, that's not what I want in my friendships. And it's like, but that's being intentional, and that's living life together. And that's when I'm able to know what's going on in her life more than just the surface. See her on Sunday and say, how are you? Most of the time, I'm doing good. Good to see you.
Yeah.
When I'm with her, when she finds out really hard news, when her kid is sick and she's needing someone to pray for her or with her or come get her other child, like these are where you're able to like intertwine your lives and you're living life together. I mean, I feel like I understand the meaning of live life is because we're living life together. And so finding those friendships that don't just look like yours, but that you're able to live life with others and serve them well.
Right.
In that.
And that doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah.
That takes intentionality.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today, having this conversation about singleness and friendship. And it's been really encouraging to me. I hope it's been helpful for you too. We need friendships with each other in different seasons of life. So I hope you feel encouraged and challenged to do that in your own life. Thanks for joining us.